There's this one really fun anecdote about how he was approached to write this piece by violin legend Gidon Kremer. At the same time, when he was like reading his memoir, like you're reading this guy's memoir, and he shows up at your door and say, "Hey, can you write a piece for me?" Hi there, my name is Tim Young, Principal Clarinetist of Symphony Nova Scotia. This is my friend and colleague Gabe Azzie, Principal Bassoon. We're here to talk to you about our upcoming Spotlight concert, Symphony Soloists, play Mozart, and other things. Gabe,
They really can't get enough of us, can they?
We're back. We haven't kicked us out yet.
No.
So every once in a while, I hear a piece of music, and it makes me wish there was clarinet in it. And because I get a lot of FOMO when I hear a great piece of music, and I wish I was involved, but then I'm not. And this concert is going to open with one of those, and it's a piece by an American composer named Caroline Shaw. It's called Entr'acte.
I mean, I wish there was bassoon in it too. Originally, it was written for string quartet, but I think the later adaptation for string orchestra is just a lot more effective, and I think our listeners are in for a treat.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
For a time, Caroline was the youngest Pulitzer winner.
Yes.
For music, and the record has since been broken by one Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. The one Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. I was reading a little bit about this piece, and she was very much inspired by this one particular transition from a minuet to a trio in a Haydn string quartet.
Yeah.
And so what she wanted to achieve here is kind of explore the power of a transition, places it can take you.
Yeah.
Whether sometimes expected, sometimes unexpected. The piece kind of starts with this very almost romantic, just one chord change, right? Yam bam bam ba.
Yeah.
And then it just takes you to this really kind of absurd place. I'm really fond of it. I listened to it yesterday. I sent it to my fiance right away. I said, "You have to check this out. This is so cool."
Yeah, and in the program notes, there's mentioning almost like looking through a glass, and the transition of the light going through the glass and then out the glass. You kind of get that sense when you listen to it, and I'll be honest, personally, I love the way it ends, almost as if the light has gone through the glass, and then it's at the very end, and then as it gets released, that's how the piece ends, with all these pizzicati and the cello on them.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it.
And speaking of light,
how's
that for a segue? Patrice Vasque's Violin Concerto No. 1, subtitled Distant Light, featuring our one concertmaster, Renaud Lapierre.
Yes.
Talk to us about that piece.
Well, I mean, Vasquez is known for his ability to form a deep connection with his listener, and I think in this particular work, there's a lot of his Latvian heritage that comes through, right? And the resilience of Latvian people. And in this piece, he kind of uses the solo violin as a voice, sometimes going through periods of fragility, sometimes resiliency, almost as if constantly searching for that distant light.
Fun fact, I was just informed that Vasquez was actually here in Halifax for Scotia Fest years ago.
Nice.
I mean, before our time.
Yeah.
But still really, really cool.
Yeah, because he has a connection to us, in one way or the other.
I will say our colleague Carolyn was so excited about seeing this piece coming up, and because as a clarinetist, I didn't really know it.
As a bassoonist, I didn't know it either.
Yeah, But one of the things Carolyn told me about is it just kind of got this really powerful emotional core to it, and so I was listening to it, and to your point, it kind of starts from nothing. It just kind of builds, and just kind of this sound just that kind of morphs.
Yeah.
But then for whatever reason, a few minutes later, I can feel myself being swept up in it.
Yeah.
There's something about it. I can't really quite pinpoint where it started, but I was along for the ride before I know it, and it's something really, really special and cool about that.
Yeah, and I think our listeners, they've known Renaud for years, and I'm personally really excited to see what he's going to do with this. Yeah,
and now we move on to the second half.
What are we going to do with our?
We need to work sometimes.
Yeah.
Mozart's
Mozart.
Symphonia Concertante for 4 winds for oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and horn. Well, let's start there.
Yeah.
Did Mozart even write this?
Yeah. When I've known of this piece for years. I've never played it before, but I've listened to it many, many times. And it wasn't until I was doing my research that I found out this might not even be Mozart, like totally and thoroughly, right?
We had known that this piece was coming up in the season
Yeah.
a while back, and when I would tell my colleagues outside of this orchestra about this, they're all joking like, "Oh, are they doing the version with flute, oboe, bassoon, and horn?" I'm like, "What do you mean flute, oboe, bassoon, and horn?" So in my head, I always thought, "Oh yeah, maybe he just eventually saw the light and decided clarinet was going to be a great addition."
Yeah.
But apparently he did in fact write one with flute instead of clarinet, except that manuscript got lost in Paris before they premiered it.
What a tragedy.
But so now, almost 100 years later, somebody pulled up this manuscript with the clarinet, and we're not quite sure where it came from.
Yeah.
We don't know who wrote it. Because there are 3 real possibilities about this.
Yeah.
The easiest one is he just had zero involvement, and somebody had just kind of forged a piece and called it Mozart. There's the middle version where Mozart had written some sketches, but never finished it, or maybe he did start with the flute one, and then that's just kind of eventually adjusted, and somebody else adjusted it to what we know now.
Yeah.
Or this is actually what he had in mind, which is, I would say the outer possibilities are probably not as likely as the middle one.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, what do you have a speculative thought as to what you think it might be?
Well, I mean, people much, much, much smarter than us are still debating about this. So I would say, well, we know that the Mozart Requiem, he didn't do that much to it. He wrote a very small portion in relation to what we now know as a complete work, and we still play it almost every year. People
play it all
everywhere,
the time.
all the time. Yeah. So I would say, he probably did a sketch and then didn't quite finish it because unfortunately Mozart didn't live very long.
Yeah.
And then somebody went in and kind of finished it. But I guess the other big question about this piece is, does that matter?
I'll be honest, I love the bassoon part, personally, and I would love to know if it wasn't Mozart, basically at all, or I'd love to know who it is, because it very much sounds like Mozart. It's a great piece of music. I might be biased a little bit, but getting to work alongside you and alongside our colleagues Carys and Danielle, I've had this circled on my calendar all year.
Ultimately, it's good music, but then it also gets me thinking. One of Mozart's most famous operas is Così fan tutte, and it's the story kind of revolves around these 4 characters, or 2 couples. We know that he's very interested in how he can kind of build and juggle all these voices together, and he also did the same thing in Marriage of Figaro.
Yeah.
So I think I see some of that throughout the piece, especially in the second and third movements. There's kind of exploring pairings and combinations and how you can juggle 3 or 4 voices at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a really nice canvas for us to kind of impose our personality a little bit more. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about doing this piece with the 4 of us, because we all kind of came to Halifax roughly around the same time. You were a little bit earlier, Carys a little bit later. But I think, at least for my money, the 4 of us are friends. We're good friends, and we get along really well. But we also each I think we have pretty different sensibilities too, and I'm excited to kind of highlight that.
Yeah, and we're almost like we've got 4 different musical personalities. What I'm most looking forward to is seeing how my musical personality gels with the 3 of you guys. And I think that there's some magic that we're gonna make. And the best part is this concert's live streamed. So those of you who are out of town, you'll get a chance to hear this concert in its entirety as well. So
yeah, this is gonna be really fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you for joining us for this pre-concert chat. I think this concert is gonna be a lot of fun, and we hope to see you there.